today's call, I am super excited. You know that we always have amazing, amazing people joining our conversations to talk about spirituality and different things. And our guest today is exactly one of those. So I'm going to introduce you. His name is Stephen Terry. He is joining us today. Stephen is a Reiki practitioner for over 20 years, teaches on a proponent of all things spiritual, including meditation, and has been developing his mediumship and psychic abilities for almost 30 years. His interest in the unknown began precisely with a magazine he bought at 13 years of age called The Unknown, and it contained articles about ghosts and electronic voice phenomena, spontaneous human combustion, hauntings, and well, all those things related to the paranormal. Stephen is a big believer in the power of the mind, in the law of attraction, and how we get to create our own reality, and how life is meant to be good, how it's meant to be fun. Today, he's here to talk to us about exactly that, how to live life to the max. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Angie. It's a real pleasure to be here today, and really excited to pass on some of the information and some of the knowledge that I've gleaned over the past sort of 40 years. Yeah, thank you.
And just you and I talking before our call, it's amazing everything that you've done and you've gone through. But can you kind of give us a little glimpse? Because at 13 years of age, a lot of kids, and I'll say myself, I love to call myself a little teenage witch, because everything that was related to that, I would go in. But to go into that at 13 and literally have your full life going into that and studying that and developing your abilities, how did that all work out for you? How did it go?
Oh, phenomenal. Really, really good. I mean, the magazine opened up my eyes. I mean, I'd always had an interest in, I've always felt as though I'm an animal lover. I love life to the max. Animal lover. Couldn't dream of hurting anything. Even get remorseful at squatting flies. You know, it's that bad. And from being an early age, we've always had animals. We've always sort of been brought up with animals and caring for them and things. So it's always been a passion of mine. And then when I got this magazine, The Unknown, and reading various things about electronic voice phenomena, which is where they've recorded at that time anyway on tape recorders voices from spirit, as well as spontaneous human combustion, which I'll not go into now, but and ghost stories and orbs and things like that. And it just found it fascinating, and it resonated with me so much that from there on, I've always had an interest in ghosts and gadgets. My background is IT. I love electronics and I love gadgets and I love ghosts and the spirit world. And the more that I look into it and the more that I've learned, the more things just seem to fall into place. And some of my thoughts that I've had over the sort of decades ago, and then reading things that other people have thought and felt, and scientific studies that they've done, and it all seems to fall into place. I'm thinking, wow, yes, I was thinking that 10 years ago, and what have you. And over the past 6 or 7 years, I've started to push my knowledge forward onto by giving it away to other people as well. So and expanding other people's knowledge, because knowledge is meant to be shared, certainly.
And you're preaching to the choir, because that's exactly what it's about here. So we all have our different stories, and I just wrote down, it resonated with me, and I think that's kind of like a key phrase out of all the people that I talk to, either on the show or just in our day-to-day, that we talk spirituality. There's something inside us that we just have a knowing. It resonates. It's like, oh, I like this. Like, it's one thing to read it. It's one thing to understand it logically, but it's one thing when it really resonates and you feel it in your own body and you're like, I don't know how, but this makes sense to me. As wacko as it sounds, it makes sense to me.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, it is an inner sense. It is your higher self giving you the nod to say, this is right. This is right for you. Doesn't matter whether it's right for anybody else. This is right for you. This is the path. This is the direction you want to go in. When you get that feeling, as you know, you just know it's right for you. It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, and it's amazing. And it's funny, while we were talking and you're just talking about ghosts, so I'll kind of interfere a little story here. Last weekend, I went to New Orleans and I was with my dad. We were doing a road trip. And I told my dad about what happened to me when I was 14, that I first went to New Orleans. And it was precisely a ghost story. I'll share the story now, but my dad's face was like, really? Like, he couldn't understand that. Like, he was like, really, that happened? And I was like, oh my God, yeah. And I hadn't thought about that in, X amount of years. So what happened was, my mom and her then husband, because my parents have been divorced since I've been one, but my mom and her husband invited one of my friends and myself. Actually, I was 15 because I remember I had my restrictive driver's license. We drove to New Orleans. We did a road trip, and they stayed in one bedroom in the hotel, and we stayed like in the room next to them. My friend, also firm believer in ghosts. She goes to all the houses that are haunted and she sees them, and like an active ghost hunter. And I remember we were talking about that stuff. The hotel we were in used to be a convent for nuns, then remodeled into a hotel. And we had been talking about that. We went to bed, she in her bed, me in mine. I am not kidding you that at the same time, we both felt and saw something grabbed our comforter, our sheets, and pulled them off. They were on the floor. It's not like I felt something and maybe it was my mind because we were talking. No, the darn thing was on the floor. We obviously yelled, we screamed. They came out of their room like, what was going on? They didn't believe us, But it's that experience of, okay, it's real. It's real. But yeah, I just remember that while you were talking.
Yeah, that's really, really good. That brought up a memory for me as well. One of the experiences that I had when I was in college, so that'll have been 16, 17, which would have been 1983. As you do in college, we started a band and a few college friends. So we bought some gear. So we had a microphone. And back in the early 80s, the hi-fi systems were a stack system. So you'd have a record player on the top, a tape recorder, a tuner, and then an amplifier with the volumes and things, and space to put LPs and what have you, and a microphone socket. So we wheeled this hi-fi system into the kitchen. It must have been October-ish because it was dark. Early on it was dark, and we moved it into the kitchen. There were three friends, Kevin, Richard and myself, sat at this really big heavy table. I'm sat at one side, Richard's the other, and Kevin is sat with headphones on, leaning on the table. So me and Richard on either side, both not with our legs underneath the table. So we turned the lights off, plugged the microphone in. He got the headphones on, turned all the gains up, and we're sat there saying, "Is there anybody there? Is there anybody there?" Inviting spirit through for peace and happiness and things like that, and joy and what have you. And then after about 10, 20 minutes, this is in total darkness. Nothing happened, and suddenly the table lifted. Might have been a centimetre or something like that off the floor. Bang! Really, really big, loud bang. To say we put the lights on very quickly and turned everything off and moved everything out of the way is an understatement. But yes, phenomenal spirit. When they want to, they can really perform. Without a doubt, yeah. So that's really good about the comforter. I've heard that quite a few times from different people as well. So it's not uncommon for them to grab your attention in that respect as well. So yes.
I just got goosebumps. Yeah, no, it was crazy. Like, it scared us at the moment, but it didn't freak us out in the sense of, I mean, I still followed the path that I followed, and so did she. So it's not like it freaked us out. But it's kind of like the proof that it does exist.
Yes, and confirmation.
Exactly. Yeah. And maybe it wasn't for anything bad, because everybody, okay, let me not say everybody. In the past, people used to think that everything that was related to paranormal was bad and it was evil. And I am a firm believer. We live in a world of duality, meaning just like there's good, there's not so good.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer that those have, and we'll call them ghosts just because that's what we're talking about, but any spirit, if they decide or they stick to their non-light ways and they want to become evil, some of them are maybe just jokesters. But we always have the power. And I think I always knew that, even though I was 14, I knew I had the power that nothing could harm me. They would try to scare me, but nothing would really harm me. And I think maybe that's why I do what I do now. I grew up in a world where we talked about spirituality, but it was very taboo. It was very, don't tell anybody, nobody should know, blah, 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 blah. And nowadays, it's like, there's no reason to hide any of these conversations, because not only are they real, more and more people are experiencing an awakening of some kind. Some are through ghosts, some are through paranormal, some are through channeling, some are through, they just wake up one day and say, God, I need to do something different. And that's the purpose of all of these episodes and this talk show. It's to literally talk about all these things and say, first of all, not everything is evil. Second, not everything is taboo. You yourself have studied to be a psychic. Before, that used to be looked at, wrong. And now it's like, oh, cool. So it's this transformation of everything we're all going through. Do you see the same?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's the energy is certainly expanding, and the vibrations are increasing, where more and more people are being brought into the field, the field of paranormal activities. And that's what it is. It's paranormal being not normal. It's without outside our normal realms of living this here earthly life. So yeah, there's the vibrations are changing. They have been changing. We've noticed them in the spiritual circles that I go to and the development circles that I've been to for the past 20 years. They've known that the energy is changing. And enlightenment is coming to more and more and more people, and that's absolutely fantastic. That's what we need. We need to know that life is meant to be good, and there's too much control from religion, from politics, from the news media. They're all sort of trying to control us, because making us powerless, and people without power or then can't threaten them in any shape, way or form. And that's the thing. We need to sort of open ourselves up, knowing that we're no longer shackled by the system, let's call it, and we can live a fantastic life. Life is meant to be good. Life is meant to be fun.
Yes, I totally agree. And that's why I love that we're going to have this conversation, because maybe we come about it from different ways. All of us, we see things in different ways. We all have different life experiences. But in the bottom of it all, I don't care where you are, where you live, what you do, we all want to have a good life. We all want to be happy. We all want to enjoy it. But I don't only think, I'm not going to go into the deep levels of it. I do know from my understanding that, yes, for millennials already, we've been trying to control, and we've been given one narrative. And if you don't go with the actual narrative that's being told, then you're the wackadoodle. And a lot of people don't want to be the wackadoodle, so they just follow the narrative. And eventually everybody got lost. They don't know their own truth. And I think that's what this spirituality and enlightenment that's happening now is, for us to remember not only our own power, but our own truth. And like you said, have life be something that is fun, that is magical. It is possible. It is what we're meant to do. Yet so many of us get so beaten down by even our own minds. We need to open up the mind to see other possibilities, to even give it a try.
Definitely. I mean, the problem we have with our mind is it uses so much energy to create our normal thinking patterns, and when we're concentrating on things, we're using a lot of power. Enough to light a small city, believe it or not. There's that much power that we hold within our body, electricity wise. And yeah, so our body, our physiology, to be able to conserve energy, it then puts things into our subconscious, and then our subconscious automatically does some of the routines for us. For example, when we're driving, when you're first learning to drive, you're concentrating so hard on, is there somebody going to come out of there? Is the red light going to change green by the time I get there, or do I have to stop? And you're concentrating on it so much that eventually it becomes a pattern, a habit within our subconscious. So now, once you've been driving for 6 months, 12 months, a couple of years, you're doing it on automatic pilot. And that's one of the problems that we have as a species, that the body is designed to conserve power, to work on the path of least resistance. So therefore, our habits are coming forward and running our lives. And we're running on habits, anything from 75% of the time to 90, even 95% of the time. And it's getting out of that habit routine. It's being aware of the thoughts that we're having as we're having them, and then being able to analyze the thoughts as we're having them to be able to change them. So, for example, if we start to realize that our thought patterns are going down a negative route, we're bringing up old beliefs or a memory that didn't bring us any happiness or joy, and then we need to just sort of flick that around to something that is good, that is satisfying, and stop thinking about it.
Right.
So there's something called synaptic pruning, where you've probably heard the saying, use it or lose it. It's the same with muscles as well. If you don't use your muscles, they atrophy. If you don't use the brain atrophies as well, because it's trying to conserve energy. So it's making the links between the memories or the thought patterns that you're having, and the more thought patterns you have, the stronger the synapses link is.
Okay.
So the stronger it is, the more vibrant it is in your mind. So if you can get out of the negative or unsatisfying thought process by flipping the thoughts to something that is satisfying, then those unsatisfying thoughts will eventually atrophy, synaptic pruning, fade away, become less noise, and quieter and quieter and quieter, until they're so far in the subconscious and then they're no longer affecting our happiness levels. So then we can live at a greater happiness level from day to day without even thinking about it. Once it becomes a habit, thinking about your thoughts and changing them, it's phenomenal how fast your happiness levels can change. It really, really is.
Yeah. It's funny because you and I actually met through a author workshop.
Yes.
And I don't know if I shared this with you, but the first assignment that they gave us was just to prep our minds and write 100 memories from our childhood. We were supposed to take maximum 30 minutes. I took like 2 hours because I actually used that as an exercise to sit there and remember 100 memories that I have not talked about in the past so many years. And you're absolutely right. The automatic change within our happiness level, my happiness shifted by the time that assignment was done. Because I started remembering, like at the beginning, I wanted to write the typical memories I had, right? And then I was like, no, I'm not. And I pushed, and then I struggled. I'm not going to lie. I struggled for a little bit to think of a memory I haven't thought of in so long. Once I did, I guess all those synapses also started happening, because once I started remembering, oh, I don't know, I sat in the corner with my best friend because we couldn't decide which house to play in. So we used to sit behind us underneath a stop sign and just chat. Then all the memories that I had experienced with her and her sisters and they all started coming out, and they're memories I haven't thought of. So that's the way the brain works. And it's amazing when we actually listen to, again, being open-minded about changing even our own thought process to things as minimal as remember a memory you haven't had in a while. And I think that's the power of the mind, besides all the, let's say, energy and spirituality to it. We ourselves are such a magnificent computer. Our organism sounds weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why it sounded weird. We are such a great computer, but we're stuck in old programming. And that's how sometimes I teach my clients. I'm like, we just need to update the software. Now that we have iPhones and like technology, we need to update the app you're playing with. That it's outdated. And some people are starting to understand it that way, but it took a while for them to be like, no, but I'm fine. I know I want to change, but I don't know how to. And it's that programming, right?
Oh, definitely. And change has to start from inside. You have to want to change.
Yeah.
It's like any habit, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. The more you do, the more you practice that habit, the stronger that habit becomes and the harder it is to break. And again, you ask any sort of drug addicts, alcohol addiction, things like that, it's really, really difficult because they must want to come out of break the habit to be able to form better performing habits, and practice makes perfect. So the more you practice the feel-good side of life, the easier it becomes, and then it becomes second nature. I mean, in the morning I wake up, before I get out of bed, I'll say, thank you, angels, thank you, guides, thank you, universe. If you don't believe in guides and spirit guides or spirit people or entities, whatever, call it whatever you want. The religion, the 6 main religions have different names for it. So whether it's God, whether it's source, the universe, infinite intelligence, your higher self, doesn't matter. Just say thank you, because gratitude, when you've been given something and you feel gratitude, that's such an uplifting emotion. And the more you practice gratitude, the more uplifted the whole being is, your whole spirit is. So in the morning, first thing to do, thank you, angels, thank you, guys, thank you, universe, thank you, I'm going to have a fantastic day today, and just get out of bed and start brushing your teeth. Thank you for the toothpaste, thank you for the water. Just give gratitude and feel it within the heart center. And if you don't know how to feel heart-centered gratitude, the easiest way is to put your hand across your heart, because the touch of your hand on the body brings your attention to that particular location. And where you place your attention is where your energy goes. So the more that you practice heartfelt gratitude, the more uplifted you'll be as well. And then when I get out of the house walking the dog, I'm looking at the grass and I'm thinking, oh, that looks nice. Whereas 10 years ago, I'd have walked the dog and just been totally blinkered into walking the dog and sort of gone with the fairy, so to speak. Just sort of my imagination had gone somewhere else. But by giving thanks to the trees that's there, by feeling the gratitude, that's it. Feeling the gratitude is the be all and end all of how to live a happier and healthier life. And again, just giving thanks, thank you, trees, and noticing the beauty of the trees as well, and noticing things that you might not have noticed for so long because you're used to seeing them. And once you start into the habit of used to seeing something and ignoring it, by realizing that you can bring more joy to yourself by looking and thinking, oh wow, that's fantastic, look how glorious that tree is with all the leaves on there, and in winter look how glorious it is, ready to be to come back into flower again or sort of leaf again, and give thanks for things. I mean, I went on holiday to Australia in 2013, and I did sort of Melbourne, Sydney, Ayers Rock, Alice Springs and Brisbane. Long 3 weeks, very tiring, but absolutely brilliant, fantastic.
It just sounds envious. I'm sorry, I just have to. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm walking around Melbourne, and I see this tram come past, and it's painted in a graffiti style. I'm thinking, wow, that looks brilliant. And the architecture, I know Australia towns and cities are only 150 years old at the most. And I think, well, this is nice architecture. I like that. And oh, yeah, that's all right. And I'm looking everywhere, absorbing all there is and bringing in all the joy and love for my eyes, sort of bringing in the real wow factor back again, which I've not had for years, because I've been working in the IT industry, and I've been working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for 7 or 8, maybe 10 years. And by the time we got to this holiday, I was really, really ready for it, as you can imagine. So I thought, I'm going to open my eyes. I'm going to take in all the scenes that I can and try and put them into my memory so I can rehearse them and feel this good again. And maybe sort of 18 months later, we came back, and there's a city where I'm close to, which is about 15 minutes away drive. So I'm walking around this city. I think I got a job on or something like that. It's sort of in one of the buildings there, one of the companies there. So I'm walking around, and I just suddenly looked up and I thought, oh wow, that architecture's nice. It reminds me of Melbourne, but this is probably 300-400 years old. And then this tram came past, painted with graffiti type style, and I'm thinking, wow, I've been here hundreds of times and I've never noticed them. And that's the thing, we need to open our eyes and bring in the gratitude for what's around us as well. And likewise, when we're in Sydney, I'm looking around and there's a massive cathedral, and it's like, oh wow, that's beautiful, sort of spires and ornate doors and carvings and everything. And then I suddenly realised a little while later, at more or less the same time as I was walking around Sheffield, that the town that I'm from also has a beautiful cathedral. And it's like, wow, why haven't I noticed it? Because I've been going through the same path, the same routines over and over and over again, and you become blinkered to them. So now I try to look around and see the beauty in everything that you can see. And again, going back in 1994, I went to Greece for a holiday, my first away holiday abroad. And I'm thinking, wow, these fields look nice. I could live here. There's some little buildings in the distance. Oh, they look nice. And then, and again, around the similar time to probably about 2000-ish, something like that. And I'm thinking, well, the place that I live, and I'm walking the dog and I'm looking around and I'm seeing various things. I'm thinking, you know, those hills and valleys that I can see in front of me are very similar to what I saw in Greece, and I really like them in Greece, but I've not noticed them here. And again, the houses in the background, the trees going down the lanes and things, and it's just so phenomenal how we forget, because we've seen it so many times, how life and how beautiful life is around us. Not necessarily, oh, I can't wait to go on holiday and I'll be happy. No, be happy now. Be happy where you are now. And you can, if you just open your eyes and start looking, it's change the thought patterns, change your way of thinking, and the what you look at will change. And even your own neighborhood, even if there's weeds on the pavements, the weeds, just look how they're springing to life and coming up through the cracks in the pavement. You know, life exists. Life is meant to be enjoyed, every moment of it. I mean, it's, you know, phenomenal. Sorry, I sort of waffled on a little bit there. I get quite passionate about these things. Yeah, oh, that's good.
No, and I'm like, I have several thoughts in my head, but I think if I'm going to summarize them, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about. It's also training ourselves to do that. Yes. Because like you started, every morning you start the same way. I will completely admit, and I'm honest and vulnerable, and I say my defaults too. I used to do that. And then you get in your head and you forget. And then when you come to realize it, God, I haven't done that. And let's see how long. And everything is a habit, and everything is really creating. We have to train ourselves. So that's what I'm saying. It goes back to what we were talking about. We have to train ourselves because, yes, we go away and we go on trips and we're more open. We're more aware. We can tell you if the weather feels different, the beach looks a different color, and then we get back home and it's the same routine. And I think it's a matter of actually training ourselves to do that and to actually acquire that wowness, that luxury of experiencing things for the first time every time.
Yes.
But it's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard until it becomes so common and so practiced that it's just a part of who you are.
You have to remember to remember. Yeah. You have to remember to practice. Yeah. That's the thing. And practice makes perfect, let's say. You know, so repetition is how the brain works. It then puts those learnings into the subconscious, and then they become habits and they become automatic. And that's what you need. You need to practice the unfamiliar until it becomes familiar. But not go so unfamiliar that you're just seeing the same thing, and you're getting sort of blinded by it. You're not blinded by it. You're ignoring the familiar. That's what you need to stop doing as well, and see the beauty in everything. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry.
No, go on. I was going to go on on a slightly different tangent, but go on.
Well, I was going to say, even in the smallest mundane things, like at this moment, everybody understands already what Zoom is. This is recorded. They understand what YouTube is. Like, everybody has the normal pattern of already understanding things. But even as I am conversing with you and I'm listening to you, I am, broadly looking at my computer. A computer I was very, 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 very happy to get not that long ago, the beginning of the year. My older computer, this is an actual desktop Mac. My older computer, which I love to call her vintage, is over 10 years old. And she was working very, very, very ridiculously, very slow because it can't, technology-wise, it can't keep up with what, is being offered now. When I was gifted, because I was gifted this computer, when I was gifted, I felt such joy in working on it, and it's so fast. Fast forward to now, I am so used to already working on this one. I forget the joy I felt when I received it. So that's reminding me of, like, even the normal things we use every day. how many times have I just sat at this computer since that moment on, and I'm like, okay, it works fast. I get to do this. Now I get to multitask and not be grateful. Take a moment to be grateful, even for those things. That's what I'm thinking of right now. Like just the simplest things that we can actually express gratitude and change our vibration and change our thoughts and change our life. It is definitely a practice.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you brought up a nice little thing that I tell my computer clients if they bought a new computer from us and I go and install it, I'm saying, and they go, "Wow, this is fast, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, but give it 2 or 3 weeks and you'll be used to it,
Yes,
and then it won't be fast anymore. It'll be just the normal." And that's the thing. That's what we need to get out of. Stop seeing everything as normal now, and start to expand our awareness of what's around us. Start seeing things from anew again. Remind yourself how it is to see something for the first time. I mean, one of the ways that we can reprogram our subconscious, they say there's 3 ways, but I think there's 4 ways. I mean, one of them, when we're born, or before we're born, we're absorbing the energy and the vibrations of everything, and the sound vibrations and light vibrations from all around us. And we're more or less in a hypnotic state. So we're hypnotically bringing all the information that's around us into our subconscious, bypasses the thinking brain, because when we're young, the thinking brain hasn't evolved yet. So we're in a sort of a hypnotic state until we're about 6 or 7, and from about 4 or 5, our thinking brain starts to increase, but we're still more or less in a hypnotic state. That's how we learn things. That's how we learn to ride a bike, learn to walk, things like that. Learn at school. We learn the rules and regulations from our peers, our family, from the authorities, from school teachers, and things like that. So by the time we're about sort of 7, we then have to use repetition to learn things rather than absorbing the knowledge. So that's how we learn at school. We repeat things, and we ABCs and things like that, and we repeat, A is for apple, and here's an apple, and we're using our visual cortex to bring in that knowledge, and then through repetition that gets stored in the subconscious as well. So by the time we've left school, the only way we can learn is by repetition, or by hypnosis or meditation. So we can we can get rid of the learnt what's the word, habits. Mm-hmm. By the bad habits. We can get rid of those by repetition of repeating the good habits, or we can go to a hypnotherapist to have them get into our subconscious to release those bad habits, or we can go through meditation as well. The meditation allows us to quieten the thinking mind, the conscious mind, to drop our vibration into a hypnotic sort of state that allows the non-logical mind to then reprogram our subconscious as well. So that's another good way to get rid of some of these habits. If you don't want to go, some of the habits are going to be so hard to get rid of that by meditating and clearing them that way, that is a really, really good way to help clear out some of the cobwebs, some of the old bad habits as well.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is my thinking pose. I just noticed that. Okay, obviously I believe in the power of meditation. Now I'm asking for me. Do you feel it's easier to get something reprogrammed, a habit? Would it be easier through hypnosis or through meditation?
It really depends. Yeah, it really does depend. For example, a friend of mine is a hypnotherapist, or was a hypnotherapist, and my overthinking logical brain wouldn't allow myself to drop into hypnosis because of my brain was overthinking things. So for me, meditation is better. Yes. I mean, hypnotherapy, even though you may not be conscious of the fact that you're under hypnosis, it will still have some effect. For me, it's not a fantastic effect, but meditation wise, I can really let myself go, and I can really bring myself in and really lower my frequencies to a hypnotic state. Yeah. So for me, meditation is better.
Okay. See, and that's the thing. The reason I asked is because not only are we all different, we can all approach it in a different way. But what inspired my question was the following. There are times that for me, hypnosis has worked better and faster, while there are times that meditation has. And it just depends, at least for me, it depends kind of how attached am I to that belief, or how aware am I of that belief. With the hypnosis, I noticed that it's quicker because it's an unconscious belief. So I was not aware of that belief. And I was able to actually not fight it off because my mind tends to go into the logical thinking as well. But then in meditation, if I am aware of the belief I'm trying to change, I just spin. Like there are times I go into meditation and it's like, well, that didn't work. So I think everybody's different, and maybe with every situation, it could be different.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all individuals. We all have our own vibration, our unique vibratory signature. I mean, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he says that there's no such thing as a bad meditation. So even though your logical thinking mind may think that it's a bad meditation, at least you've started to relax as much as you can allow your thinking brain to switch off. If it hasn't switched off to a degree where you think it's a good meditation, it doesn't matter. You're still relaxing. You're still giving your body time to heal itself, and the body does heal itself when we are relaxed and in a state of relaxation, when we're not in a state of stress. So we've got two predominant main states. One is stress, when in sort of thousands of years ago we're hunter-gatherers, so if there's a rustle behind a tree, we need to know if it's a bear or if it's just a bird. If it's a bird that's, as long as it's not a pterodactyl or something like that, then we're fine. So then getting into stress is so easy nowadays. There's so many things that can trigger a stress response. And when we go into a stress response, the physiology, the chemicals that's released in our body are for fight, flight, or hide. So all the energy is going into our muscles, that is taking away from the digestive system, because if you're going to be eaten by a tiger or a lion or killed by a bear, you don't really need to digest your food. So the energies are being moved out to the extremities, so it's pumping your muscles with energy so you can fight or flight or even hide if you need to. So as soon as we start to meditate or quieten the mind or try to lessen the thinking of our conscious brain, our conscious thoughts, we then start to breathe a little bit slower. That then breathing slower triggers the body into believing that we are not in a vulnerable state. So it then takes us out of the stress response. So then the chemicals that are released when we come out of stress and go into homeostasis, other feel-good factor hormones as well, and it's the energy and the hormones and the chemicals are released that start to regenerate the body, start to heal, and our bodies are naturally designed to be in a state of healing, with the odd bit of stress now and again, and then back to healing. So you cut yourself, and it's no miracle as to the fact that your body heals itself, and if you're more relaxed and in a better state of mind-wise, you heal better. I mean, sort of the doctors, even doctors and medical institutes say that rest is the best medicine. And of course, that's come down for thousands and thousands of years, and it is. So when we start to meditate, even if it's a bad meditation from the thinking brain side of things, we're still relaxing, we're still releasing tension, we're releasing stress, and then the body can start to heal. So, which is one of the reasons why we should really be meditating 10, 20, 30 minutes every day. And again, Dr. Joe, I think he said something to the effect of, I could be wrong about this, as in him saying it, whether he was paraphrasing it from somebody else or not. If you don't have time to meditate for 20 minutes, meditate twice as long. So something like that anyway. So yes, if you're that stressed that you haven't got time to meditate, then you really do need to meditate and make sure it's longer so you can relax and release all the stress and tension, and then your body starts to heal, and you can remember things better, that you get less chatter from the subconscious and the negative thoughts or the unsatisfying thoughts. So yeah, meditation You know, even if you've never meditated before, all you need to do is just sit down, close your eyes, try not to get disturbed, or in a place where you're not going to get disturbed. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths if you can, or as deep a breath as you can. Hold it, breathe out slowly, breathe in slowly, breathe out slowly. And the only thing you need to think about is your breath. And if thoughts come forward, just acknowledge them and say, I'll come back to you later. You know, I need to get some milk from the shop, or I forgot to post this letter. Okay, I'll come back to you later. You know, just think, thank you for reminding me. I'll come back to it in a little while. I'm just going to relax and relax and relax.
And again, talking about what we did at the beginning, we're so conditioned into living a stressful life. People don't even notice that you can live differently because they're so used to everybody living the same way. It's like, well, now with, you know, everything that changed and the world kind of got upside down, a lot more people are working from home and they're a little bit more relaxed because there's no rush hour, there's no traffic, there's not going to the office, there's not making it. It's the 9 to 5 routine that, because everybody was doing it, nobody was looking at it as in, yeah, this sucks, we don't like it, but nobody was really trying to do anything different except, you know, the few that did. Now, because everybody, like literally we can say the whole world shut down, and people started finding out a different way, which is why a lot of people now are on Zoom, which had never been on Zoom before. They're starting to realize, okay, maybe I can work from home and I don't need an office. Business owners are saying, maybe I don't need to pay a fancy building. My employees can work from home and we'll figure out a way. But it's the same thing with the wellness, let's say, of employees. We teach meditation. It is the same thing that is taught in what they call mindfulness, except we can't use the word meditation because people consider that a religion, a belief, a practice. Again, we've been conditioned to see things as separate and different. And so many people are missing out on what can give them such a beautiful life because they were told that is not something we practice. And a lot of people used to say that's something like the yoga and the Indians, and you're worshiping their gods. And that's not correct. That's why I love Dr. Joe Dispenza and all the doctors and Greg Braden and all of these different people. Like I can go down a whole list of people who are scientifically proven what this does, because it's taking the taboo out of something that can improve all of our lives. And the other practice to it is, I don't remember who did the research, but a lot of research actually has been done on only one person that meditates and expands their light and brings themselves to that frequency is helping X amount of yards or miles around you. So you're helping the city, you're helping the world, you're helping each other. How beautiful would it be if more and more of us would meditate for our own individual life, as well as helping the collective?
Definitely. I mean, most people have heard of something called mob mentality or herd mentality, where, you know, for example, in the UK, this mild-mannered person would go to a football match, and because of the people around him, he would become so incessant with wanting to hurt someone else, because the people around him are wanting to do that. They're all geared up, they're all riled up, their emotions are on fire, that spreads to everybody else around them. So you can get somebody that's to do things that they wouldn't normally do because of the energy that's surrounding them, other people's energy that's surrounding them as well. So if you can only, I mean, example, you may walk into a room and you think, oh, I don't like it here. And then because of the negativity of the room, and likewise the opposite can happen, you can go to somewhere else, you think, oh, this is so uplifting, this is brilliant, I feel good here. I mean, I can tell if I walk into a department store if there's been a lot of negative people in there. And I then have to make sure that my energy field is balanced and not absorbing their energy field, because there's something called we all absorb others' energies. So there's something called sympathetic resonance, where like attracts like, for example, which we can go into if we have time. The law of attraction, like attracts like. You get what you think about, things like that. That also happens with our energy field as well. We can expand our energy field, anything up to, it's been measured up to about 8 meters, I think it is, but it goes on infinitely. There's no stopping it. We just can't measure it that far out. So by changing our frequency, our vibration to a happy vibration or a happier vibration. You don't have to do it all at once. I mean, going from anger to happiness is such a big leap of vibrational frequencies that it's nigh on impossible, unless you won the lottery, of course, and then I'm sure you could flick between, you know, anger to, you know, exhilaration, etc. But normally you have to do it a step at a time. And one of my all-time favourite songs is by a lady called Hazel O'Connor, and a film called Breaking Glass. And this is from the 80s as well. I watched the film so many times. I left school in 82 at 15, went to college, this is sort of in May, went to college in September, and I watched this film so many times. I knew all the dialogue and all the words to the songs. It's a fantastic film. Anyway, it's cool. The main words are, up is the only way to go when you're down. So that's the thing to try and remember. If you are feeling low of energy or low in vibration, or you're feeling angry or upset or something like that, up is the only way to go when you're down. Yes, you can go even further down, but do you really want to? No. You want to sort of raise your vibration. And it starts with just simply changing your thought patterns. You know, as soon as you start to realize that your thought patterns are unsatisfactory, flick them around, think of something else, think about walking on a beach, bring these good memories back. That's the thing to do, you know, to raise your vibration, and your vibration will affect the people around you. That's the thing. And of course, if going off again, if you go into a department store and you think, oh, there's a nice pair of trousers there, I'm going to try them on. How many other people have tried them on, and how many other people have had a lower vibrational energy than you? Because you're going to be picking up their energy from the clothes that you're trying on in department stores as well. So I would always say, if you do happen to try them on, make sure you wash them before you wear them properly, because you're going to be picking up their vibration. We're all linked. Everything's linked. Everybody is linked in the universe. Scientists are now proving it. Quantum entanglement, etc., etc. I will not bore you too much with them. But we're all linked. Yeah, we're all part of the same system. We're all a vibratory being. So the picking up other people's energies from clothes, even if it's sort of new clothes, you do need to wash them. In the psychic world, it's called psychometry, where you would pick up somebody's ring and you would be able to read the energy from that ring. So even inanimate objects store energy and store experiences and the vibrations, and you can pick up thoughts from a ring, a thought that somebody had. If they had such a powerful thought, the energy that they, and the vibration that they put out, the emotion that they put out, can anchor itself within inanimate objects. Clothes, rings, crystals like you have on your neck, chairs. You know, if you multitask, or multi-desk as it's called in the UK, where you might work 3 or 4 hours in an office, someone else comes in and works in that office and sits in the chair that you were in because that's a hot desk, and then they go out, then somebody else comes in. You can all, if they're having a bad day and they don't realise it, you can pick up on their energy and it can drop your energy down. So yeah, you need to be careful about your energy field and make sure that you're keeping your energy field at a high vibration, so you can ward off negative energies, let's call it, for want of a better word. So yeah, the energy field is phenomenal.
It is, and let's do a segue precisely into the law of attraction, because it's one thing for us to say, okay, it's one thing for us to say, change your thinking. But with the law of attraction, we need to also learn how we're saying things in order to attract them. Because there's some people that we can say, okay, let's talk about money, for example. It's not, I want to attract more money out of a energy and need, desperation, because that's coming from lack. That is what we will attract. But it's also the use of words, right?
It's more of the emotion that you put onto the words. Yes, there's people out there that are saying, oh yeah, you know, God, can I have some money, or, you know, heal me, or do this or do that, or can I have a new car? Nothing happens. Right. Because they may have read the Bible or other scriptures that say, yes, asking it is given, or you get what you think about, and things like that. Or you know, do unto others and you would have be done unto thyself type of thing. But what I mean, for example, the Christian Bible was edited 400 years after the crucifixion of Jesus, and the best parts were taken out. the best parts that would have allowed Christianity to flourish a hell of a lot more than what I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. A religion for me is about control, like governments and like the news media. It's all about control. So it's not only important to think that you want something and I want more money, for example. You have to feel as though I think that the Bible says something to the effect of ask ask, I can't remember, but in effect you have to feel the emotion of already receiving it, and the emotion carries the thoughts and the words into the universe that then gets reflected back to you. So one of the other things that I teach when I've run a Facebook group for about nearly 5 years now on the power of intention, the power of 8 by Lee McTaggart. We do it slightly differently, and because if you are trying to heal someone and you've not had any training and you don't know how to do it with the Reiki side of things, you need to avoid the illness that they have if you're trying to heal someone, or if you're trying to heal yourself because you have a debilitating illness of whatever it is, and you're saying, oh, please take this pain away. You're concentrating on the pain and you're putting emotion into the pain, so therefore the emotion gets put out into the universe. The emotion of pain, you're giving pain the emotion, and you're saying, I don't want any, but the universe is inclusive. It doesn't understand not and don't want and, etc. So it will reflect back at you. Whether it gets worse or whether it stays the same, that's really down to the emotions that you're kicking out. So when I was in training for my Reiki, you're not supposed to concentrate on the infliction or the disease or the lump or the bump or whatever you're doing on. You just sort of give out pure positive intentions or for them to be healthy and well in every way. So likewise, when asking for money or anything, feeling like you're going to get more lack, as you suggested, and feeling as though you've already got enough money, you will get more money. Even you don't need to say, oh, Lord or God or Source Spirit, Infinite Intelligence, Higher Self, can I have more money, please, because I need it? Then it will give you more of the need. You don't need to say, you just, if you feel as though you have enough money, you will always have enough money. So if you, next week, the rent's due, and you need to find $500, and you haven't got it, but you may have $100 in the bank account now, or $10 in the bank account now. So for now, you don't need to spend any money. You've got enough. So be grateful and thankful and show gratitude. We're going back to the gratitude side of things again. Right. And give thanks and gratitude for the money that I have. I know I've got enough money, and I know I'll always have enough money. And my hands are going automatically to my heart chakra, my heart center. And if you do it, because you're touching the heart center, you're bringing your attention there. The heart never lies. We could go into other things about the heart being having a tiny brain, then we'll not do that at this stage. So it
has a bigger magnetic force that people don't understand.
It does. Yes, the pulse. Yes. The energy from the heart center is so more powerful than the energy from the brain. It really can expand out into the universe. So then you will always have more money. As a start. And as a practice, and if you've never tried anything like this before, start with the simple things. You may have heard something about the parking angels, where people say, oh, angels, can I have a parking space just outside where I need to be, the shop I need to be in? And give it 10 minutes and you're driving there and, oh, somebody just pulled out, so you pull in. Things like this do work. And it's when people start to experiment with little things like that, it can blow the mind. One of the things that I do, is I always say I always get a green light when I'm at traffic lights, or I know when I come to a road junction, I know when it's my turn, I'll be able to pull straight out without too much delay. 99% of the time, it works, and it's so phenomenal when you realise that, and you think, I've never. There may be a little queue to get up to the junction where you're pulling out from. But by the time you get to the junction, it's like, ding, ding, oh, I can go. Right. And likewise with the green lights. You're coming up to a red light, it suddenly goes green. Or there's a green light and you're thinking, I can get through that without having to speed or anything, and you get through it. And then just as you're going past the threshold, it starts to turn yellow and then red in the UK, and you get through. Of course, it's not always going to work, because there may be traffic lights that are staggered where you just can't do that because of the way that they've been programmed. But invariably, once you start learning little techniques like that, or practicing little techniques like that, it's surprising how often it's on target. I mean, just as another aside before I interrupted you again, one of the using my psychic abilities again, one of my friends came into the shop that we had, and there was a jar on the counter somewhere. I can't remember what was in it. It was something silly. We did silly things just to try and amuse ourselves, because we were there 7 days a week for nearly 10 years, 12 hours a day. You had to break things up. And he says, "Oh, that's all right. What's in it?" I says, "Oh, there's 76 bloody blahs, beads or whatever they were." And he says, "No, they're in." I says, "Yeah, there is." He says, "No." I says, "Yeah, there's 76 of them." I says, "Oh, have you counted them?" I says, "No, I'm just using my psychic abilities. I know there's 76 in there." "Well, let's get it down then. Let's count them." So we did. 76. So things like that, using your intuitiveness, your psychic abilities, asking your guides as well. I mean, where I live, on the estate that I live, there are 3 roads into it, main roads into it. I only take 2 of them. Well, there's only 2 roads that are quicker for me. And I always say to my guys, I says, "Okay, which is the best way, up that way or to the right?" And I'll have a flash of a vision, or the word for that particular road will be more predominant than that particular road. And I'll go that road. And sometimes I play with it. I think, right, okay, you're saying go straight on instead of turning right. I'm going to turn right. And then I get stuck behind a bus. Yeah. Or an inconsiderate driver pulls out when they shouldn't. Things like that. 99.99999% of the time, nothing bad's going to happen, no matter what route you take. But if you say, which is the easiest, the quickest, the less stressful route, which one is it, left or right, or this way or that way, route A, route B, and your guides they can see into the future to a certain degree, and they will tell you which is the best route for you. And again, go the opposite route to test it, and you'll see that, oh, I wish I'd gone the other way now. So yeah, it really, little things like that is perfect to build your confidence. And again, going back to the generating money, which a lot of people need extra income, just by feeling the gratitude of having a look in your wallet or your purse or your bank account, knowing for the next 2 hours you have enough money for now. Feel gratitude and grateful for the money that you do have now. You don't need to say, "I need more money. Can I have more money?" You can ask you guys to bring in more experiences to help with your financial state, or to improve your financial state, rather than saying, I need money because of X, Y, Z. That's showing the lack of it. So yeah, just little things, little practices, and you will see within weeks or within days, within even hours sometimes, that it does work. And it's so phenomenal how knowing things like that, knowing that there are non-human entities that are there willing to help us, just by asking. We do have to ask. You have to ask. We have free will. We're spiritual beings having I'm going off on a tangent again. We're spiritual beings having an earthly experience. An experience is the thing. The good, the bad, the indifferent, the unsatisfying, the satisfying. We're here for the experience. I mean, we can talk later on another episode, if you wish, down the line, about the spirit world and how we evolve and what we need to learn, and karma, which I don't believe in, as in the indoctrination of what most people believe in what karma is. It isn't. Karma is about the religion controlling us, saying, if you do this, you go to the dark side. If you do this, you go to the light side. Pay me some money and your sins are forgiven. The God, the universe, infinite intelligence, your higher self, is unconditional love. It is that simple. With unconditional love, it doesn't matter what you do, you're still loved. If you've got kids and they're going to climb a tree and you think, well, if they fall, they're not going to hurt themselves really, but you don't want them to hurt themselves at all. So you say, don't climb that tree because you'll fall. They do it anyway. And you're still going to love them, even if they do fall or they don't fall, because you have unconditional love for them.
Right.
Spirit, source, God has the same for us. So, religion it's a control mechanism to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. So, karma and things like that, spirit world, evolution, moving on when we reincarnate and new lives. We can go on to that another stage. So, yeah, if you going back to the law of attraction and money, all you need to do is know that you have enough for now, for the next 5 minutes, for the next 10 minutes, for the next day, for the next 2 days, and know that you will get help if it is within your best interest. And of course, it is within your best interest as well.
And let me interrupt you for a quick minute.
Sorry, go on. Yep.
That's what I think wraps up, and actually we're kind of running out of time, but I think that's what wraps up kind of our whole conversation, because when we look at it, which is what I look at spirituality as a whole, for the next 5 minutes, we have the money and we're grateful. Being grateful shows that openness and thankfulness and vibration, and yet we also have to teach ourselves, which is also what we talked about, thinking of things different and opening our eyes to seeing new opportunities. Because as we are thankful for the money we have in the next 5-10 minutes, we're good. However much money it is, whether it's $20 or 20,000. If we're honestly thankful and we tell our guides, hey, thanks, we tell the universe, awesome, more of this, please. They start doing their synchronicity. They start working in the quantum field. They start aligning the stuff. But it's up to us to then not get in our head and get stuck in our own patterns and our old beliefs of, damn it, it's only $20 and it's just right now. What about later? It's actually being able to stay in that awareness, stay in that presence, and stay in an open mind to receive the intuition and the guidance. That when something tells us, hey, call this person or this showed up, we're actually able to see it and take action. Because, I mean, many people have criticized it for this reason, that movie, The Law of Attraction, that came out. I thought it was an amazing movie because it brought the law of attraction to the eyes of many people. But it doesn't mean that you close your eyes, you say that, and then there's a bag of money at your door. The bag of money has to get there somewhere. I mean, it's kind of a logical thinking that, okay, people, I mean, she did a great job with what she did. Let's not hit her on the head with it. But we have to be open to be able to find where that source is going to come from, but trust that it's going to be there. So I think we just kind of wrapped up the whole call, because it's everything. It's training ourselves. It's training our mind. It's being open. It's meditating. To the way I tell people is that when you meditate, you're learning to listen to your soul, because we have that chatter and chatter and chatter. It's bringing down that chatter so that we can listen to what our intuition, what our guides, what the universe, it's that knowing of what to do. That's actually going to take us to that next step to evolve. Because we are here all as a experience, human experience that we're having.
Without a doubt. I mean, we are a spiritual being having an earthly experience. And again, experience is the operative word. The good, the bad, the indifferent, everything. Doesn't matter what walk of life we're in. We decided to incarnate here now in this physical body. And what I say to if someone asks me about my spirituality and things, I might go down the route of saying something to the effect of, just imagine for a moment, even if you don't believe it, just imagine that we do reincarnate. And we do have another life after this. We don't live this life again. We only live this life once. But what happens if we did have another life? How would you look at the way that you're acting now? Would you still throw the can on the floor? Would you still chop that tree down? Because it's going to impact your life, next life. Right. So, I suppose that could lead into the karma side of things a little bit. But I'm not a big fan of karma. So yes, that's what I try to sort of instill in people and say, well, but what if it is true? And of course it is, because I believe it, of course, and I've proof to myself that it exists and spirit exists, etc. And you have as well. So what if we do live again? This is to non-believers. What if we do live again? Would you change your life? Right. And they go, yeah, I probably would actually. Most logical people would think that well, yeah, I do need to change. I do need to do something different. And that's what we need to do. We need to look inwards to our higher self, our, yeah, to, to learn how to relax more, to stop the chatter from our thinking brain. Some people sort of reduce the thinking of the thinking brain by meditating to allow the spiritual influences to come through, our spirit guides to come through. We can then start to become more psychically in tuned with the world around us and live a more harmonious life, live a life full of joy and happiness.
Which is at the end, again, what we all want. Well, Stephen, thank you so much. I know that we're running out of time, but I do want to tell everybody, you do offer an amazing Facebook group where you teach, you come, you talk about all these conversations. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I know we're going to put the link down below, but can you talk to us about that?
Yes, of course. It's called, well, Lynn McTaggart created something called the Power of Eight, where she suggested a group of 8 of people come together to offer an intention to heal something about someone else in the group of 8. In effect, it's a bit like spiritual healing. It's a bit like Reiki. It's all the same energy. It's the loving, sort of uplifting emotional energy that we all need now and again. So you would sort of, you use your heart center and your words to say something to the effect of, you know, the sort of, I don't know, XYZ's breathing becomes more easier. If they've got a chest infection, for example, becomes more easier. And then you would focus your attention for them being healthy and well in every way. So we do something similar. We will do it for, we do it because it's online. There's 400 and something members of the group, but there's only about sort of anything from about 8 to 15 people turn up on a Sunday night, UK time. So we'll hold an intention for either all of the group or for a particular person in the group or for a friend or a family. And we've had some really, really good feedback. For example, one of the sessions, one of the lady came back a few months ago to said, you sent an intention for my son who needed a cortisol injection to reduce inflammation in his shoulder before he had an operation on it. And actually it was his hip. Was his hip, not his shoulder, it was his hip. He needed an operation on it. So we sent an intention. It lasts for 10 minutes, these intentions. So I do a 5 to 10 minute little chat about similar stuff to what we've been talking about today. Do the intention. We have a little bit of a meditation to relax ourselves, do the intention. And again, a couple of months later, she came back and said, he didn't need the operation. You know, the healing worked. And we've had quite a few positive influences like that. And of course we can do other things as well, for money, for love. It's not just for health, it's for health, wealth, happiness, doesn't matter what it is. So yeah it's close.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I'm thinking I might reach out to you because I might need help with the bunny. Remember we talked about the bunnies last time? Yeah, my bunny's suffering right now. So
yeah
well, thank you, Stephen. This has been amazing. The link for the group is below. I also want people to get in touch with you. You are compiling your next book. You're writing it. You're providing so much information to people. You are a wealth of information. And that is one of the reasons I wanted to have you here, because you have a way of explaining things that are easy, understandable. And the point of all of this is for us to talk in different ways of precisely how to live a better life. And with just the things that you talked about today, there are so many tricks and tools that even with this, they can just practice.
Oh, yeah.
And the way that I usually teach people is you practice until you become it. And once you know, oh, that's what I was going to say before when we were talking about the parking. I have 2 people in my life who literally always find parking right at the front of wherever they're going. The interesting is they always say it, I always find parking. But the truth is they know it. They don't even ask for it anymore. It just happens. So it's becoming the knower of that is what I do. And that's why it comes true. But that's what I wanted to talk about before. But no, thank you so much for this. It has been amazing, amazing, amazing.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. And I think my rabbits are going to want feeding now. So I'm going to have to, I normally feed them about 4:30 and it's what, 10 to 6 now. So a little bit overdue. They're going to be upset with the not getting fed on time, I think. And they're very fastidious about things like that. But yes, the emotion is what carries the thought. Mm-hmm. Without the emotion, you can think of anything you want all the time and it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. It's the emotion, the heartfelt gratitude emotion that you put into the thought. That's what what it is. That's what you'll get back. And thank you for having me. I've really, really enjoyed it.
No, thank you. And we will be touching base again, because I think one of the other things we would like to talk about is quantum entanglement.
Oh, definitely, yes.
So,
Yes, there's lots of good experiments out there.
Yeah.
Lots of good experiments out there. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Nice one.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We'll
everybody,
speak
for
soon.
joining us. Bye.
Bye.